It was supposed to be a quiet getaway, just a little sun, sea, and serenity to escape the drama of Atlanta. But baby, when photos surfaced of Jasmine, yes, Jasmine lounging poolside on the same Jamaican resort where Kirk and Rashida were supposedly celebrating their marriage reboot, social media erupted. Fans are shocked, cast members are scrambling, and the streets of love and hip-hop ATL will never be the same. How did the woman who once shook Rashida's marriage to its core end up sipping piña coladas on the same vacation as the Frosts? Was it a coincidence? A setup? Or worse, a secret reconciliation behind the scenes? The receipts are messy, the timing is suspicious, and sources are saying this was no accident. And while Rashida is out here posting cryptic, "God got me" captions, Jasmine is unbothered posing in bikinis, tagging the same hotel Kirk just posted from 2 days prior. Fans are calling it the ultimate betrayal, and the comments are wilder than a reunion episode. But that's not even the wildest part. Because back in Atlanta, Yandi Smith-Harris is catching strays again. After a shady segment on Rashida's new podcast left Yandi in tears, she's now questioning their entire friendship. The words Rashida allegedly said, cold cutting, and caught on a leaked audio clip that's already gone viral. Now the question is Rashida secretly two-facing her friends? Is Jasmine plotting a comeback with Kirk? And how did a tropical vacation spiral into a three-way scandal that could tear ATL's strongest women apart? Grab your tea, because this story is explosive. Secrets are surfacing, alliances are crumbling, and one thing is clear: nothing is what it seems this season. You think you've seen drama before? Buckle up, because we're just getting started. It all started with one innocent Instagram story, a flash of turquoise water, a coconut drink held by manicured fingers, and a familiar anklet that fans immediately recognized. Jasmine, the same Jasmine who once brought love in hip-hop Atlanta to its knees with the explosive revelation that she had a son with Kirk Frost. The Jasmine that Rashida swore she'd never forgive. But now, in a twist no one could have predicted, Jasmine was seen in what appeared to be the exact same beachfront villa that Kirk had posted from just 24 hours earlier. Within minutes, fan pages began stitching together screenshots, matching up the same lounge chairs, identical towel prints, and even the same poolside bartender. And then came the caption that blew the lid clean off the internet. Some energy, just don't lie. Hashtag Healing in Paradise. Fans lost it. Is Jasmine on vacation with Kirk? Where is Rashida? One follower commented, tagging every LHHATL gossip blog within reach. And that's when it really got messy, because Rashida was there. She had posted a photo of her and Kirk just 3 days prior. All smiles and matching linen fits, holding hands in front of the same cabana, which meant all three of them were there at the same time. By the time the Shade Room reposted it, the comment section had turned into a war zone. "This is foul," one fan wrote. "Did Rashida lose her mind, or did Kirk set her up again?" Another asked, "Is this some weird open marriage situation now?" But no one could make sense of it, because Rashida, usually quick to clap back or clear the air, was silent. No reposties, no denials, just a cryptic Instagram story, a selfie with the caption, "When you've healed, nothing surprises you anymore." And that's when people started speculating. Was Rashida involved? Was this some strange therapy exercise? Or was she completely blindsided by yet another Kirk scheme? Back in Atlanta, the cast group chat was going crazy. Bambi messaged the girls directly, "Y'all seeing this Jasmine mess? Tell me this ain't real." Sierra replied with the big eyes emoji. Even Spice chimed in from tour. Jasmine better have a bulletproof vest if Rashida didn't approve that trip. But one person who wasn't joking was Yandi. Yandi had just wrapped up an interview segment with a local Atlanta podcast, talking about her latest skincare collab, when the news hit her phone. But what shook her even more was not Jasmine, was Rashida, because just hours earlier, a leaked audio clip from that same podcast had started making the rounds. In it, Rashida could be heard allegedly throwing major shade at Yandi, saying, "She always trying to act like she perfect. Like her relationship didn't go through hell too. I'm just saying. Don't throw stones when your own glass house got bullet holes." The betrayal hit Yandi like a punch to the chest, because not only had she considered Rashida a close friend, she had defended her when everyone else dragged her for staying with Kirk. Yandi had stood by her on panels, on episodes, even in real life, telling women to support their sisters instead of judging them. And now, this shade, on a podcast. Behind her back, she called Mendices immediately. "Did you hear this mess?" she snapped. "Jasmine's in Jamaica with Kirk and Rashida. And now people sending me audio of Rashida shading me on her little podcast. Mendices, who had been low-key trying to avoid the drama, sighed. Wait, Jasmine's where? In Jamaica. With them. And Rashida just went on a mic and said I live in a glass house with bullet holes. He paused. You sure it's her voice? Yandy scoffed. You think I don't know my own friend's voice? Come on. Meanwhile, Jasmine was doing what Jasmine does best, igniting chaos with a smile. She posted another story, this time showing only Shadow's 3 figures walking down the beach. But fans swore they could make out Kirk's gait and Rashida's long braids. The internet exploded again. Was Rashida really walking side by side with Jasmine, the woman who had a baby with her husband behind her back? Within hours, cameras were rolling again. Producers jumped into action, scrambling to set up a scene with Rashida the moment she got back to Atlanta. They needed answers, and they knew the viewers would demand blood. But Rashida wasn't about to be ambushed. The moment she landed, she summoned the production crew to her boutique for a private sit-down. I already know what this about, she said coolly as the cameras rolled. And let me just say this, y'all love running with a narrative before asking the woman herself. The producer asked, so were you in Jamaica with Jasmine? Rashida didn't flinch. Yes, I was. The room went silent. But let me explain, she continued. It wasn't no girls' trip. It wasn't no kumbaya reunion. Kirk's therapist invited her. We've been doing these sessions to finally bury the drama. He thought maybe a controlled environment would help us all move forward, for the kids. Did you agree to that? The producer pressed. I didn't say yes at first, Rashida admitted. Hell, I cussed Kirk out. But then I thought about it. How many years am I gonna keep letting this woman live rent-free in my spirit? I wanted closure. So yeah, I went. I sat across from her. And I let her talk. But what Rashida didn't know was that Jasmine had been documenting everything. Voice memos, secret footage, and allegedly private conversations. And just as Rashida was explaining herself on camera, Jasmine uploaded a selfie from the airport with the caption, sometimes, closure means telling your truth, even if it breaks somebody else's. Back at Yandy's place, she wasn't buying any of it. She set this up, Yandy told Bambi over FaceTime. You really think it's a coincidence that Jasmine just happened to be there and then just happens to leak photos and post cryptic captions? Come on. Bambi looked skeptical. But if Kirk invited her for therapy, then Kirk's playing Rashida again, Yandy snapped. And now she wanna talk about my glass house. She better hope hers don't come with shattered floors. But then the plot twisted even more. Because late that night, another clip from Rashida's podcast resurfaced, this time with Rashida allegedly talking about Bambi and her divorce from Scrappy. Some people don't know how to keep a man because they too busy being the man, she said. The audio was clear. The shade was vicious. Bambi was livid. Oh hell no, she muttered, scrolling through the clip. Now I know this chick, not talking slick about me too. Within 24 hours, the Frost family drama had spilled into a full-on ATL meltdown. Jasmine was dropping breadcrumbs. Rashida was spinning explanations. Yandy was boiling with betrayal. And Bambi. She was ready to pull up. The next morning, the group chat was a full battlefield. Bambi had already posted a not-so-subtle Instagram story with the words, "Let's not forget who taught ATL how to keep a man before y'all started podcasting for clicks." No tags, but everyone knew who that was aimed at. Fans flooded the comments with fire emojis, laughing gifs and all caps reactions. Ushi, talking about Rashida. One user commented, Bambi said play with your mic, not with her name. And just like that, the drama snowballed again because Rashida finally snapped. She jumped into the group chat herself, sending a voice note that hit like a wrecking ball. Y'all out here trying to clown me over some edited podcast clips when none of y'all ever been woman enough to face your own situations head on. I sat across from Jasmine to heal, not to entertain. Meanwhile, some of y'all out here crying over baby daddies who can't even spell loyalty. Boom. Yandy immediately responded, girl, don't do that. You let the whole city think you and Jasmine on a couples retreat and now wanna call us out. Bambi, right. And don't talk to me about baby daddies when you had Kirk raw dogging strippers and side chicks for years. Carly Red, sipping tea quietly in the corner of the chat, finally chimed in with, let's all meet and talk this out before the blogs eat us alive. Too late, the blogs were already starving, and this drama was a feast. Meanwhile, Jasmine wasn't letting up either. She went live on TikTok, claiming she was invited to Jamaica by both Kirk and Rashida. It wasn't no sneak move, she said with a smug smile. She knew I was coming. She sat down with me. She even hugged me before we left. So all this extra noise, it's for y'all, not for me. Within seconds, the footage went viral. Fans dissected every blink, every lip curl, every syllable like it was a federal case. Some were stunned. Others weren't shocked at all. Rashida had been forgiving that man for a decade, one fan posted. What's a hug to a woman who took back a whole baby? The memes were instant. Rashida holding hands with Jasmine while Kirk sat in the background, looking like a Dollar Tree therapist. But what really sent the ATL into flames was Jasmine's next post, a blurry video taken from behind a palm tree, clearly shot in secret. In it, Rashida's voice could be heard saying, "Honestly, she's the one who broke my trust the most. I expect messy from Kirk, but I didn't expect it from her. She, as in Yandi." Fans exploded. Wait, is Rashida talking about Yandi, not her throwing shade on vacation too? The caption underneath read, "Say it with your chest next time, sis." Yandi saw it immediately. Her reaction, swift and lethal. She took to Instagram Live, visibly upset but composed, and spoke directly into the camera. "I've never betrayed Rashida. Never talked behind her back. So if she got something to say, she can say it to me. Not in a whisper behind some palm tree like we 15. I buried too many friendships over fake loyalty. I ain't doing it again." The comment section exploded. Fans were pouring in support. "Yandi's always been solid," one wrote. "Rashida looking real fake right now." Some even started a hashtag #PalmTreeConfessions. At this point, the producers had no choice. An emergency cast dinner was set up, neutral ground, cameras everywhere, contracts signed, and tension sky high. Bambi, Yandi, Rashida, Jasmine, Sierra, and even Carly Red were invited. It was being filmed at a rooftop restaurant in downtown ATL, and the minute Yandi walked in, you could feel the shift in energy. She didn't say a word at first, just sat down, back straight, eyes scanning the table. Rashida came in last. She walked in like she wasn't being dragged online by half the world. Dressed flawless in head-to-toe designer, expression unreadable. The cameras started rolling. "So let's get into it." Mona's voice rang out off camera. "Y'all clearly have some things to say." Yandi went first. "Let's start with the podcast. Rashida, you said some things that sounded real familiar. Want to clear that up?" Rashida took a deep breath. "I'll say this. I was talking about people who act like their lives are perfect when nobody's life is." "I didn't say your name, but you meant my name," Yandi fired back. "I've always supported you. I didn't judge you for staying with Kirk. I never brought up Jasmine. But now you're out here in Jamaica, playing peacekeeper with the woman who literally had a child with your man, and I'm the one you feel betrayed by." Rashida narrowed her eyes. "You don't know what I've been through with Kirk. You think social media knows my marriage. You think you know it better than me. I know what I saw," Yandi said, voice rising. "And I know that hug didn't look like closure. It looked like y'all been real cozy behind the scenes." At that moment, Bambi interjected. "And since we airing it out, let's talk about that slick comment on your podcast about women not knowing how to keep a man." Rashida looked annoyed. "I wasn't talking about you, Bambi." "Well, guess what?" Bambi shot back. "The shoe fit real tight. You always been the queen of silence until it's time to go viral, and then you want to act confused when people come for you." Jasmine, sipping her cocktail calmly, finally spoke. "Y'all can fight all y'all want, but I showed up to that trip on their invitation, not mine. And if we're being honest, the only reason Rashida hugged me was because her therapist told her she needed to let it go to move on." Yandi turned to Jasmine. "Sweetheart, no offense, but your receipts come with more edits than a Carly Red relationship timeline. Let the grown women talk." Carly nearly choked on her water. "Why am I getting dragged out of nowhere?" Chaos erupted, voices overlapping, Bambi yelling, Rashida defending, Jasmine smirking, even the waiter backed away mid-order. Finally, Sierra banged her wine glass with a spoon. "Enough. This is too much. Can we please just take a breath?" Silence. Yandi leaned in, voice calm but piercing. "You know what hurts the most, Rashida, not the podcast, not the hug. It's knowing that when it was me, under fire, I had your back, but now, with all this Jasmine mess, you couldn't even pick up the phone." Rashida's eyes welled. "I didn't know what to say." "Then say that," Yandi whispered. Don't play both sides and call it growth. For a moment, there was quiet. Heavy, loaded, painful, quiet. And just when it seemed like things might settle, Jasmine pulled one last card. She placed her phone on the table, tapped a video file, and slid it toward the group. Here, since y'all think I'm lying. Everyone gathered around. The screen played a video clip, grainy, secretly recorded, but clear enough. Rashida, at the resort, sitting next to Jasmine, saying, "I'm not saying we'll be friends, but if we can coexist, I'll take that. You've changed. I see it." Bambi rolled her eyes. "So you did invite her back in. You just didn't want us to know." Rashida looked cornered, breathing heavy. "I said that in a moment. I was trying to do what the therapist said. I didn't think it would be blasted online." Yandi stood up, collecting her purse. "You didn't think. That's the whole problem." And with that, she walked away. Again, Yandi's heels clicked against the pavement as she stormed out of the rooftop restaurant. Her mic pack still hot and recording. The camera crew followed her for a few feet, but she waved them off. She didn't need a dramatic exit. Her silence screamed louder than any confessional. Inside, the table was still vibrating with tension. Rashida hadn't moved. Her lip trembled slightly, but she held it in. She wasn't about to cry in front of these cameras again. Not after everything she had already let slide this season. Bambi sat back, arms crossed, clearly feeling vindicated. Sierra blinked back her own frustration. Carly just sipped her wine, watching it all unfold like the chaotic ant she was. And Jasmine looked like she was 2 seconds away from posting another story, captioned, "I said what I said." The producers shut down filming for the night, but the story was far from over. As the cast dispersed, the streets of Atlanta lit up with commentary. The clip of Jasmine sliding her phone across the table was already being replayed on TikTok and Instagram Reels, remixed with sound effects and captions like, "Rashida, blink twice if you're trapped." But what stunned fans even more was what came next. Yandi, who had sworn she was done, went live just 2 hours after the dinner raw. No makeup, bonnet on, and heart wide open. "I wasn't even gonna say nothing," she began, holding back tears. "But when someone you considered your sister blindsides you on camera, in front of the whole world, and hugs the very woman who helped destroy her home, you start questioning everything." I defended Rashida when it wasn't popular. I stood next to her when she was breaking down. I didn't expect perfection. I just expected loyalty. The live had over 65K viewers within 10 minutes. People flooded the chat with support. Yandi always been 100. Rashida fumbled a real one. We riding with Yandi, but in the comment section, a new debate brewed. Some fans started shifting the blame to Jasmine, questioning her motives. Why she still filming secret videos like we in 2017? One fan asked. Another added, "Jasmine's not trying to heal, she's trying to trend." And then, the unexpected happened. Jasmine's own baby daddy, Logan, popped up in the mix. He posted a cryptic tweet. "That girl don't know peace unless she's causing war." Fans immediately interpreted it as a jab at Jasmine. Within an hour, he clarified on IG stories. "I tried to stay out of this, but watching Jasmine spin this narrative like she's some growth queen, nah. She filmed everything in Jamaica without telling anyone. Even me. She's not healed. She's plotting." The comment section imploded. Jasmine now had multiple 8 figures turning on her, and her healing in paradise narrative was falling apart. Meanwhile, Rashida was finally forced to confront the backlash head-on. In an emotional sit-down confessional filmed days later, she opened up like never before. "Look," she said, voice shaking, "I've done a lot of growing. A lot of forgiving. And yeah, inviting Jasmine to Jamaica. Maybe that was too soon. Maybe it was stupid, but when Kirk suggested it, I thought maybe, just maybe, it would put an end to the awkward tension. Every time I drop Kai off, every time we have family stuff, she's there. I was tired of the elephant in the room." The producer asked gently, "But did you expect the footage to leak?" "No," Rashida said flatly. "That part hurt. And the part with Yandi, that crushed me. Because no matter what, I never meant for her to feel betrayed. But at some point, trying to please everyone leaves you empty." Still, not everyone was buying it. Bambi, who had stayed mostly quiet since the dinner, came through with another mic drop moment on Instagram Live. "Let's be real," she said, curling her hair with one hand and sipping Red Bull with the other. "You can't play therapist, peacemaker, and podcast queen all at once. You picked Jasmine over Yandy, whether you meant to or not. And now you mad the world saw it before you did. As the fandom divided into Team Yandy and Team Rashida, the cast was summoned again for a final mediation taping, a last attempt to bring everyone together before the reunion. This time, it was held at a secluded private home in the suburbs. No paparazzi, no extras, just core cast and crew. Yandy was hesitant to attend, but after a heartfelt phone call from Sierra, she agreed. "I'm not going for her," Yandy told Mendices, packing a light jacket. "I'm going to clear the air for me. Because I'm not gonna walk into that reunion with half-truths hanging over my head." When she arrived, Rashida was already there, seated in the living room, no glam squad, no jewelry, just her and a mug of chamomile tea. Jasmine wasn't invited. This was about the friendship, not the fire starter. The room was tense. Yandy sat across from Rashida, knees crossed, eyes steady. "You hurt me," she said, without preamble. "I know," Rashida whispered. "And I'm sorry." Yandy waited. No excuses. No justifications. Just silence. Then Rashida spoke. "Again, I didn't mean to choose her over you, but I did. And I see that now. I was so focused on being the bigger person that I didn't realize I was stepping on the people who held me up." Yandy's eyes welled with tears. "I never wanted you to pick sides. I just wanted you to see me. The real me. Not the version people gossip about. Not the headlines. Just me. Your friend." Rashida nodded. "You still are. If you'll let me fix this." And for the first time since the chaos began, the walls cracked. Yandy reached over and took her hand. No words, just energy. Tired, bruised, but honest. Outside, Sierra and Bambi watched through the window, both exhaling like they'd been holding their breath for days. "Maybe there's hope for us after all," Sierra whispered. "Maybe," Bambi replied. "But Jasmine, she gonna need a prayer circle and a lawsuit to fix what she broke." The cameras captured it all: real emotion, real damage, real attempts at healing. And while nothing was fully resolved, the line between reality and redemption had started to blur, but just when peace began to take root. Another clip leaked online. This time, it wasn't Jasmine, it was Kirk. And he was caught saying something that would blow everything up again. It hit the blogs at exactly 7:48 a.m. Just as the cast began preparing for their official reunion taping, a low-quality voice memo, crackling at the edges. But unmistakably Kirk Frost's voice, chuckling in the background as he said the words that would send season 13 of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta into absolute chaos. "Man, Rashida really think this was all for therapy? Please. I just needed Jasmine to stop threatening to go public with the old stuff." The words echoed across the internet like a digital explosion. The old stuff? What did that mean? Was there more than the child? More than the strip club rumors? Was Jasmine holding something even darker over Kirk's head, and had he manipulated Rashida's healing journey just to do damage control? Fans went into a frenzy. Instagram lives, YouTube breakdowns, Twitter threads. Everyone had a theory, and none of them were pretty. But it wasn't the fans who were most devastated. Was Rashida. Just one day after trying to mend fences with Yandy, just hours after letting her guard down on camera and embracing vulnerability for the first time in weeks, her entire world was yanked from under her again. Producers tried to reach her. Her phone went straight to voicemail. At her boutique, employees were instructed to reschedule appointments. The usually composed, brand-polished Rashida Frost had disappeared. Word on the street was she was holed up at her mama's house, not taking calls from anyone, not even Kirk. Meanwhile, Jasmine wasn't staying silent. She posted a 12-minute video to her YouTube channel, titled "The Truth About Me and Kirk." What you didn't see. Dressed in all black, tearfully composed, she spilled everything. "I stayed silent for years," she began. "But when a man uses you, erases you, then tries to villainize you on national television, nah, that ends today." She claimed Kirk had promised her a future even after his son was born. She alleged he'd continued to visit her privately, off camera, even after reconciling with Rashida. And worst of all, she dropped a bomb, that Kirk pressured her to stay quiet about certain business dealings he didn't want the world to know about. "I recorded that conversation because I was scared," Jasmine admitted, voice shaking. "Scared he'd spin it all again. Scared I'd be painted like the side chick forever. But I was young. I believed him. And now, I just want peace." The comments were divided. Some fans praised her for finally speaking out. Others accused her of clout chasing, manipulating the moment, and twisting the narrative just to stay relevant. But one thing was clear, this wasn't over. Not even close. Back in production headquarters, Mona Scott Young was reportedly fuming. The reunion taping was set to begin in less than 2 hours, but the cast was in shambles. Rashida was still missing. Kirk wasn't responding to producers, and Yandy was hesitant to show up at all. Sierra had to be pulled from glam because she was crying in her dressing room. "This ain't what we signed up for," she sobbed. "This ain't even reality TV anymore. This is real hurt." Bambi, ever the realist, walked in with a Red Bull and hoop earrings, like it was battle day. "Let's just do the damn show," she said. "We can cry after." But then came the final twist. Rashida showed up. Showed up. Makeup, no glam, no entourage. Just her, in a black hoodie and jeans. Eyes puffy, expression unreadable. She didn't say a word as she walked through the reunion set and sat in her chair. Kirk, already in place, tried to smile. She didn't look at him once. The reunion opened cold. No music, no applause, just Mona's voice, eerily calm. "Let's get into it." The segment started with Jasmine's video. Rashida watched, stone-faced, as Jasmine detailed private meets, alleged secrets, and Kirk's manipulation tactics. Then, Mona turned to Kirk. "Is there truth to what Jasmine said?" He stammered. "Some of it. But not all." Rashida cut him off. "Which part is a lie, Kirk? The part where you told me it was about therapy? Or the part where you said you didn't see her anymore? Or maybe the part where you said I was the only one you loved?" Kirk looked frozen. "Babe, don't babe me," she snapped. "You had me out here hugging your side chick, like I was auditioning for Saint of the Year. And all the while, you're just trying to keep her quiet so you don't get exposed." Mona intervened. "Rashida, did you know about any of this before today?" Rashida shook her head. "Not a damn word. I trusted him. Again, like a fool." Then she turned to Yandy, voice shaking. "And to you. I owe the biggest apology. I accused you of betrayal when the real snake was sleeping in my bed." Yandy, holding back tears, nodded. "I never wanted this for you. I just wanted honesty." The room fell silent. Even Carly Red looked solemn. No one was ready for what Rashida said next. "I'm done with the fake therapy, the public apologies followed by private betrayal. I'm done with Kirk Frost." Kirk's mouth dropped. "You can't mean that." "I do," she said quietly. "I already forgave you once. Maybe twice. Maybe 10 times. But I can't keep sacrificing my self-worth for a man who sees me as a shield, not a wife." Mona leaned forward. "So what does that mean, Rashida?" Rashida took a deep breath. "It means this reunion is my last. I'm stepping away. From the show. From the mess. From him." A collective gasp spread across the room. The studio went eerily quiet. Kirk sat frozen, his face flushed with disbelief. He looked like he had just watched his empire burn in front of him, and maybe he had. Bambi grabbed Rashida's hand. Sierra cried. Even Jasmine, watching from backstage where producers had isolated her, purportedly asked for a moment to herself. And with that, the drama of Jamaica, the podcast shade, the hug heard around the world, and all the secrets it unearthed finally reached its breaking point. But as the cameras zoomed in on Rashida's face, strong, broken, beautiful, fans knew one thing for sure. This wasn't the end of a storyline. It was the beginning of a woman reclaiming her narrative. And just like that, the Frost legacy crumbled, not with a fight, but with a woman finally choosing herself over the circus. Rashida's tearful exit from the Love and Hip Hop Atlanta stage wasn't just the end of a season, it was the end of a cycle. After years of sticking by Kirk through betrayals, secret children, public humiliation, and now hidden recordings and shady therapy trips, she finally said the words fans have begged her to say for over a decade. "I'm done." Yandy, once wrongly accused, walked away with her dignity intact and her circle tighter than ever. Jasmine, while attempting to reclaim her narrative, may have exposed more than she intended, becoming both the messenger and the lightning rod of this explosive unraveling. And Kirk. Well, Kirk Frostmittov just fumbled the only woman who ever stood by him when no one else would. The internet is still reeling. Fans are divided. Blogs are flooded. And while Rashida says she's walking away from the show, viewers know better than to count her out. The phoenix always rises, especially in Atlanta. But what do you think? Was Rashida right to forgive Jasmine at first, or was it always a setup? Did Kirk mastermind the entire vacation just to avoid his secrets coming out? And should Jasmine be praised for speaking her truth or cancelled for weaponizing it at the perfect time? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We're talking betrayal, redemption, and reality TV at its wildest. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more recaps and drama breakdowns, and turn on your notifications so you never miss the next twist in this ATL saga. Because if there's one thing we've learned from love and hip-hop, the tea is never truly cold in Atlanta. We'll see you in the next one. Stay messy, stay woke, and stay ready because the drama is just getting started. Jasmine thought she had everyone fooled. But the facade is crumbling, and what lies beneath has fans gasping for air. In a twist nobody saw coming, Jasmine is now at the center of a firestorm so intense, it's tearing through her world like a tornado with no mercy. From secret text messages to suspicious late-night disappearances, the whispers have turned into screams. And now, the biggest question on everyone's mind, will Kirk finally walk away for good? Or is Jasmine ready to unleash her most manipulative move yet? It all began with what seemed like an innocent party until Kirk noticed something that didn't add up. A side glance, a smirk, a suspiciously long bathroom break. And just like that, everything spiraled. Jasmine's behavior has gone from questionable to downright incriminating. Sources close to the family claim she's been playing along and it may involve more than just one betrayal. But Kirk, usually calm and collected, isn't staying silent this time. Not when the woman he trusted with his heart might have just stabbed it with a smile. Tensions are exploding behind closed doors. Emotions are boiling over in front of cameras. Family members are choosing sides, and fans are stunned by the bombshells being dropped one after another. As Jasmine scrambles to spin the narrative, the real story is slipping through her fingers, and Kirk is no longer playing by her rules. Could this be the final straw in a relationship already scarred by past betrayals? Or will Jasmine once again twist the script in her favor? Stay right here as we unpack the full scandal in all its jaw-dropping, table-shaking glory. Because when it comes to Jasmine, one thing is always true. Just when you think she's down, she's already setting the next trap. Buckle up because this ride is about to get dirty. It started with a whisperer, harmless flicker of doubt that Kirk brushed off more than once. But that whisper turned into a roar when the patterns became impossible to ignore. Jasmine wasn't just acting distant. She was strategic, careful, almost too composed. The soft smiles she reserved only for Kirk were now flashing in the direction of other men. Especially one who had recently joined their circle. Deshaun, Kirk's childhood friend turned business associate. Kirk had trusted him with deals, with family introductions, and now, unknowingly, with the woman he still called his ride or die. The first real crack showed up at a recording studio launch party. Jasmine arrived late, stunning, as always, but with a phone that never left her hand. She smiled wide, posed for photos, but her eyes, they scanned the room with intensity, as if she was waiting for someone specific to show up. And when Deshaun arrived, she lit up like fireworks in July. Kirk saw it. So did Rashida, who leaned into Kirk and whispered, "You seeing what I'm seeing?" He wanted to dismiss it. Wanted to trust Jasmine like he always did. But trust had cost him before, and it looked like history was hungry for an encore. Later that night, Kirk noticed Jasmine sneaking off to the back patio. He followed, keeping his distance, only to find her and Deshaun standing a little too close, talking a little too softly. When they both turned around and spotted him, the energy shifted. Jasmine laughed awkwardly, brushing her hair behind her ear, and muttered, "We were just talking about the next event." Deshaun nodded, but he couldn't hold Kirk's gaze. Kirk didn't say a word. He simply turned around and walked back inside, fists clenched, heart thudding. That night, silence flooded their bedroom. Jasmine scrolled on her phone for hours, her screen tilted away from Kirk. When he finally broke the silence, asking, "You got something to say?" she just replied, "About what?" The room turned ice cold and a storm began to brew quietly, dangerously, beneath the surface. Days passed, but the tension didn't. Jasmine became colder, distant, almost mechanical. Kirk, on the other hand, turned paranoid. He began checking her social media posts, scrutinizing her captions, zooming in on the reflections in her sunglasses. And then it happened. A fan page tagged Jasmine in a photo taken outside a high-end hotel in Midtown. She wasn't alone, Deshaun was with her. The post read, "Jasmine out here making business moves." But it wasn't the caption that wrecked Kirk. It was Jasmine's hand resting on Deshaun's chest, not in a friendly way, not in a business way, in a way that said, I trust you with everything. Kirk didn't confront her that night. He needed more. He needed proof. So he did something he promised himself he'd never do again. He followed her. The next Thursday, Jasmine told him she was going to a spa with her cousin for a self-care day, but when Kirk drove by that spa, there was no Jasmine in sight. 2 hours later, she showed up at a rooftop restaurant again with Deshawn. She wore a silk dress, heels that matched his shirt, and eyes that sparkled with secrets. Kirk sat across the street in his car, watching it all unfold like a movie he never bought tickets to. She laughed, leaned in, touched his arm again and again. Kirk's phone shook in his hand as he took photos. He wasn't going to ask questions anymore. He was going to expose. That night, Kirk didn't go home. He went to Rashida's, sat in her living room with a bottle of whiskey and a folder full of printed screenshots. She read each one slowly, jaw tightening, fury burning behind her eyes. You need to end it, she said plainly. She playing you like a damn piano. But Kirk wasn't ready, not yet. He wanted to know why. What did Deshawn have that he didn't? Was it just excitement? Money? Power? Or had Jasmine truly fallen out of love with him? These questions haunted him so deeply he couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, imagining every conversation they'd had in the last 3 months. Every lie, every excuse, every year, being paranoid that suddenly felt like a slap. The next morning, Jasmine came home as if nothing happened. She kissed Kirk on the cheek, told him she had a spa glow, and headed upstairs humming to herself. Kirk stared at her retreating figure, bile rising in his throat. He followed her up, stood in the doorway, and said, I saw you. Jasmine froze. Saw me what? She asked, voice to calm. At the rooftop, with Deshawn. Her face went pale, then dark. You followed me, she asked, deflecting instead of denying. You lied. Kirk snapped. You lied about everything. But Jasmine didn't crumble. She didn't apologize. She stepped closer, narrowed her eyes, and said, and what if I did? What are you gonna do, Kirk? Divorce me? Again. That was the moment he realized something terrifying. Jasmine wasn't sorry. She wasn't scared. She was in control. What happened next shocked even Kirk. Jasmine began spinning the narrative like a master manipulator. She told mutual friends that he was the one acting crazy, that he was jealous and possessive, and probably cheating himself. Screenshots leaked, ones Jasmine had carefully taken over weeks, showing Kirk angry, distant, or messaging old flings in completely misleading ways. Suddenly, Jasmine was playing victim. Fans started turning. Blogs picked it up. Kirk gaslighting Jasmine again. One headline read, the family was left divided. Some sided with Kirk, knowing his loyalty. Others bought into Jasmine's emotional performances. Rashida called a family meeting, but Jasmine refused to attend. Tell em, I'm tired of being dragged through the mud, she told Kirk. If they want to talk, they can talk to my lawyer. Lawyer. That word hit Kirk like a hammer. Was Jasmine preparing for war? Was she setting him up for a nasty public fallout? The betrayal wasn't just romantic, now it was strategic. This wasn't about Deshawn anymore. It was about control, about dominance, about winning. And Kirk. He was caught in the middle of a game he didn't even know he'd been playing. As the days passed, Jasmine moved into the guest room, changed her phone passcode, and started packing away sentimental things from their shared bedroom. She was making silent declarations, one drawer at a time. But the most chilling part, she never cried. Never once broke down. She smiled. And then came the final straw of part 1. Jasmine posted a cryptic real soft R&B in the background. A slow-motion clip of her walking away from the camera with the caption, sometimes you gotta let a man destroy himself. The internet exploded. Fans were shocked. Was she talking about Kirk? Was this a breakup? Was she hinting that he was the villain all along? Kirk saw it, hands trembling, as his phone lit up with notifications. Messages from friends, producers, even his own daughter. What's going on, Dad? The text read. But he had no answer. Because Jasmine wasn't just cheating. She was rewriting the narrative in real time. And the next move she made would change everything. Kirk couldn't believe the audacity. Jasmine had turned the tables so fast, so masterfully, that even people who once had his back were now giving him side eyes. She hadn't just walked away from the relationship, she was dragging his name through the mud on her way out. Heels high, head higher. And while Kirk was still reeling from the shock, Jasmine was already 2 steps ahead. She started showing up at events alone, wearing outfits that screamed single and unbothered, flashing polished smiles to the cameras and slipping cryptic quotes into her captions. "Healing looks good on me. You can't break a woman who knows her worth." Every line felt like a dagger aimed at Kirk's chest. But it wasn't just the captions, it was who started appearing beside her in those posts. Deshawn, always in the background. Always watching. Kirk wanted to go public. He wanted to post the screenshots, the videos, the receipts. But Rashida stopped him. "That's exactly what she wants," she warned. "She's playing a long game. Don't stoop to her level." But Kirk was boiling, because while he stayed quiet, Jasmine was feeding the world a fairy tale flipped on its head. Suddenly, she was the woman reclaiming her power, while he was the emotionally manipulative ex, holding her back. And then came the ultimate insult. Jasmine's exclusive sit-down interview with a rising podcast host known for her healing and heartbreak series. The teaser alone set the internet ablaze. "I was made to feel like I was crazy. But all I ever wanted was peace." Cue dramatic piano music, slow zoom on Jasmine's glassy eyes, and fade to black. Kirk watched the full interview that night in complete silence. Jasmine painted a vivid picture. A woman gaslit, ignored, emotionally starved. She cried on cue, talked about losing herself in a marriage that no longer saw her, and even hinted that there had been controlling behavior she wasn't ready to fully speak on for legal reasons. Kirk felt like he'd been slapped in the face. None of it was true, or at least not the way she made it seem. He had flaws, sure. But this was character assassination dressed in Chanel. And the worst part, people were eating it up. Comments flooded in. "We love you, Jasmine. You're so strong. Leave that toxicity behind, sis." But behind the scenes, Kirk was unraveling. Not just emotionally, professionally too. Brands he had worked with were pulling back, citing concerns over current media buzz. Deals were freezing. Invitations, 2 panels were quietly rescinded. He was becoming radioactive by association. All while Jasmine thrived. She launched a skincare line, partnered with a mental health app, and announced a speaking tour for women dealing with toxic love. She wasn't just surviving, she was cashing in. The betrayal wasn't just intimate anymore, it was economic. Kirk was watching the empire he helped her build be used as a weapon against him. It was during one of those low moments that Kirk got a visit he didn't expect. He showed up unannounced, casual as ever, wearing designer sneakers and that same smug smile, Kirk now associated with heartbreak. "Can we talk?" he asked. Kirk didn't punch him, though God knows he wanted to. He let him in. What Deshawn said next rewrote everything. "You think this was about you?" he asked, voice low. Jasmine been planning her exit since last year. "I just gave her the excuse she needed." Kirk's blood ran cold. Deshawn continued. "She told me y'all were already over emotionally. I just filled the space." And then, just before walking out, he added, "She's not who you think she is, bro. She's 10 moves ahead, and she always has been." That night, Kirk went through old emails, messages, even PR timelines, and sure enough, the signs were there. Jasmine had filed trademark paperwork for her solo ventures months before the drama ever began. She had secured a crisis PR team, booked interviews, had strategy meetings with brand experts. She hadn't stumbled into independence, she had engineered it. Every argument, every cold shoulder, every suspicious smile had been a step in a staircase leading to one thing: freedom on her terms. And Kirk, he was just collateral damage. The next family dinner was a battlefield. Jasmine showed up late, glowing, wearing a sleek red dress and sunglasses indoors. Everyone else sat quiet, unsure which side they were allowed to be on. Rashida cleared her throat and said, "We're here to figure this out like adults." Jasmine scoffed. "There's nothing to figure out," she said, twirling her wine glass. "I've moved on. Maybe Kirk should too." That set him off. "Moved on? You burned the house down on your way out, Jasmine," he shouted. She didn't even flinch. "Then maybe you should have built one that could handle a little fire." The room erupted, cousins arguing, aunts clutching pearls, Rashida yelling over the noise. But through it all, Jasmine remained calm. She didn't defend herself. She didn't cry. She just stood, adjusted her sunglasses, and walked out. The door closed softly behind her, but the damage echoed like a gunshot. Kirk sat there, broken, watching the woman he once loved become someone he no longer recognized. And the worst part, he still wasn't sure whether she had changed, or if she'd always been this person, hiding behind charm and cheekbones. Over the next week, Kirk tried to rebuild. He reached out to a publicist, considered doing an interview of his own. But every time he tried to speak up, Jasmine was already ahead of him. She announced a documentary, her side of the story. Trailers teased unseen footage. Voice notes, even alleged DMs from Kirk that painted him as manipulative and insecure. Sometimes the truth isn't pretty, the narrator said. But it needs to be heard. Fans were frothing at the mouth. Pre-orders for her skincare line tripled overnight. Her followers jumped by 100,000. She had turned heartbreak into a brand and Kirk was the logo for everything she'd overcome. But not everyone bought it. A leaked clip from the documentary showed Jasmine rehearsing her crying scene multiple times. In another, she whispered to her producer, "Make sure the lighting hits my cheekbones when I look down." Slowly, cracks started to show. A former friend of hers went live and said, "Jasmine's not a victim, she's an actress." More people began digging. Her timeline didn't add up. Dates she claimed to be healing overlapped with receipts from luxury vacations with Deshaun. The internet started buzzing again, this time with doubt. And Kirk, he watched quietly, waited, let her overplay her hand. Because the truth has a way of rising even when it's buried under layers of lip gloss and filters. But what neither of them expected was the next twist. Because someone else had been watching this entire time. Someone with the power to destroy both of them. And as Jasmine celebrated her latest milestone, toasting champagne on Instagram Live, she had no idea that her biggest scandal was still loading. The real storm was just beginning. The next twist didn't come from Kirk. It didn't come from Rashida. It didn't even come from Deshaun. It came from someone Jasmine never expected: Monica, her ex-best friend turned silent observer. For months, Monica had watched Jasmine's rise with a mixture of awe and disgust. She knew Jasmine's game better than anyone. They'd built empires side by side, laughed over scripts for public sympathy, and even brainstormed captions for Jasmine's most vulnerable posts. But when Jasmine cut her off without warning, without reason, it lit a fuse Monica had been holding back for too long. And now, she was ready to detonate. It began with a single Instagram story. A black screen. White text. "You want the truth? I've got hours of it." The internet froze. Within 10 minutes, her DMs exploded. Monica didn't stop there. She followed it up with a TikTok casual.com, dangerous. "I ain't trying to start drama, but I think people deserve to know who Jasmine really is." And then the floodgates opened. Voice recordings, screenshots, behind-the-scenes clips. One recording had Jasmine rehearsing tears before her podcast interview. Another captured her mocking Kirk's emotional breakdown after discovering her lie. "He looked like a lost puppy." Jasmine laughed. "I almost felt bad. Almost." Kirk listened to it in horror, mouth dry, hands shaking. The world had been gaslit. He knew it, but now, they would know it too. The receipts were undeniable. Jasmine had staged almost every piece of her public comeback. The podcast tears, fake the skincare brand, based on stolen formulas from a small black-owned startup she had collaborated with, and ghosted the narrative. A beautifully scripted lie. And Monica, she wasn't holding back. In a live stream that peaked at nearly 500,000 viewers, Monica laid it bare. "Jasmine ain't a survivor. She's a strategist. Y'all out here cheering for a villain in heels." It was a moment of sweet vindication for Kirk, but it didn't last long. Because Jasmine, she pivoted faster than anyone thought possible. Less than 24 hours later, she posted a tearful video from her bedroom floor. No makeup, no edits. Just raw emotion, or so it seemed. "I trusted the wrong people," she sobbed. "People who were supposed to be my sisters, and now they're trying to destroy everything I built." Fans were torn. Some saw through it, others ate it up. "She's hurting, let her live. Monica's just jealous." But Kirk wasn't swayed. He'd been silent too long, and now it was his turn to speak. He didn't go to a blog. He didn't drop a teaser. He went live. Alone. No glitz. Just him, a plain background, and truth. "I ain't perfect," he began, voice steady, "but I never deserved to be dragged like this. Y'all watched a performance. I lived the pain." For 30 minutes, Kirk laid it all out. The lies, the manipulation, the gaslighting, the humiliation. He even showed receipts Monica hadn't. Texts from Jasmine's phone to Deshaun mocking his music career, calling Kirk Plan B in case her new man didn't work out. The comments section turned into a war zone. "Jasmine, we believed in you. This is sick. How you gonna play victim and villain? By morning, Jasmine had lost 2 sponsorships. A third issued a statement, "We take allegations of manipulation and dishonesty seriously." Her skincare line's page was flooded with snake emojis, but Jasmine didn't disappear. She doubled down. She posted cryptic quotes again. She went quiet for hours, only to re-emerge in a black lace dress, walking hand in hand with Deshaun into a private fashion event. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Jasmine only smirked. But the smirk cracked just slightly when someone yelled, "How's Kirk doing?" For the first time, she looked shaken. The media began shifting. Articles flipped. Headlines now read, "Jasmine's empire on the edge." And new receipts show Jasmine orchestrated entire narrative. But even with the tide turning, Kirk wasn't celebrating. Because behind the drama, something darker lingered. His reputation had taken a hit he might never fully recover from. His kids were dragged into online debates. His mental health fractured, and Jasmine. She still held the power of perception. Because in the world of celebrity, truth doesn't always win, optics do. Rashida tried to get him out of the house. "Let's clear your head," she offered. "Get you back in the studio, reclaim your story." But Kirk wasn't ready. His trust had been shattered. Not just in Jasmine but in people. In fans, in love. He sat in silence most nights, replaying everything. How did it go so wrong? Had Jasmine ever loved him? Or was it all a ladder to something higher? Fame, money, control. Then, another twist, Jasmine's ex came forward. Not to a man from her past who claimed he, too, was used, manipulated. "She studied me," he said in a video interview. "Learned my weaknesses, then turned them into weapons." He had texts, voicemails, a pattern. Jasmine wasn't new to this, she was trained in it. The footage went viral. A psychologist even weighed in. What we're seeing here may align with narcissistic abuse cycles. Suddenly, Jasmine wasn't just losing fans, she was losing her image. The cracks were no longer private. They were public and growing. But Jasmine didn't fade. She turned to religion. Started quoting scripture. Talking about God's plan. Rebranding again, this time as a woman healing from everyone else's toxicity. She posted prayers, photos from churches, even baptism videos. The move split her followers once again. Some praised her, others rolled their eyes. But Kirk saw it for what it was, another act. Another escape hatch. And just when he thought she couldn't go lower, she hit him with the final papers. She was suing him for defamation, emotional distress, and cyber harassment. The man she betrayed was now being painted as her abuser. Kirk broke. He cried for the first time in front of his kids. He called his mom and couldn't speak. He showed up at Rashida's at 3 a.m. just to sit on her porch. "She's gonna destroy me," he whispered. "And I don't even know why anymore." Rashida wrapped him in silence. She knew. Jasmine wasn't seeking justice. She was seeking dominance, control, final say. But Rashida had one idea left. "Then let's give her what she can't script," she said. "The truth. From everyone." And that's when Kirk knew this wasn't over. Jasmine might have played every card, but she forgot one thing. Eventually, lies collapse under their own weight. And the truth, it rises, no matter how deep you bury it. The final battle was coming. Not just for revenge but for redemption. Because Kirk wasn't going down as the villain in Jasmine's story. Not when he was finally ready to tell his own. The court summons sat on Kirk's kitchen counter like a loaded weapon, taunting, cold, and impossible to ignore. Jasmine had made it official. She wasn't just out to ruin his name in the media. She wanted him legally silenced. And for what? For fighting back. For showing the world the truth she tried to hide under hashtags and fake tears. But Kirk wasn't the same man she left months ago. He had been humiliated, yes, betrayed, definitely, but broken, not anymore. Because now, he had something Jasmine didn't, a movement behind him. In the weeks following the explosion of Monica's truth bombs and the public shift in sympathy, people began coming forward. Stylists, assistants, former friends, even a brand partner, shared eerily similar stories. Jasmine controlled everything. From lighting angles to apology drafts, every breakdown was timed. Every candid photo had been staged. Each quote she dropped was carefully curated to create a version of her that was untouchable, delicate, innocent. But now, the image was cracking like a mirror slammed against concrete, and Kirk finally saw his opening. Rashida took the reins. She coordinated a full-scale media response not to attack Jasmine, but to tell Kirk's story. "We're not playing dirty," she told him. "We're just bringing receipts to the table. Let the world decide." And they did. A special video podcast aired a week later, unfiltered. The Kirk Frost story. It wasn't flashy. It didn't need to be. The emotions were raw. Kirk shared journal entries, therapy notes, and heartbreaking voicemails from nights Jasmine had left him alone, spiraling in confusion. But the most damning evidence? A video taken by his daughter, unbeknownst to Jasmine, of one of Jasmine's coldest moments. In it, Jasmine mocked Kirk's depression, laughing with Deshawn on speakerphone. "He's in his feelings again. Should I send him a tissue emoji?" The video broke the internet. It shattered any illusion of Jasmine's innocence. Even her most loyal fans started to unfollow. Comments turned brutal. "We defended this. She's a monster. Kirk, we owe you an apology." The backlash was swift and savage. Jasmine tried damage control. She claimed the video was edited, that it was taken out of context. But context didn't matter anymore. The truth had finally hit the light, and no amount of lipstick or lighting could blur it. Still, Jasmine refused to back down. She showed up at the courthouse in a designer suit, flanked by her PR team, chin high, eyes hidden behind oversized sunglasses. The paparazzi swarmed. But this time, the energy was different. No cheers, no "you go girl," just silent clicks. Kirk walked in alone. No entourage, no dramatics. Just a folder of truth, a quiet confidence, and a prayer in his pocket. Inside the courtroom, it became immediately clear. Jasmine's legal team wasn't ready. Their evidence was flimsy, their narrative inconsistent. Kirk, on the other hand, had months' worth of documentation, therapist statements, witnesses, and when Monica was called in to testify, she didn't hold back. She told me, and I quote, "I'm going to make Kirk beg for mercy on social media. Watch me." Gasps echoed through the courtroom. But the final blow came from Deshawn Yesim. In a shocking twist, he switched sides. Tired of being her pawn, tired of being used and discarded just like Kirk had been, Deshawn submitted a written affidavit. "Jasmine manipulated both of us. She played games for power. I see it now." The lawsuit crumbled. Jasmine left the courtroom without speaking to the press. That night, she deactivated her Instagram. Her skincare brand's website redirected to a 404 error. Sponsorships vanished. Speaking engagements canceled. In less than 48 hours, Jasmine Frosty, once celebrated face of resilience, had become a cautionary tale of ego, exploitation, and emotional warfare. But for Kirk, the victory wasn't sweet, it was bittersweet. He had cleared his name, but at what cost? His heart was still battered. His trust still fractured. His kids were still healing from the fallout. And somewhere inside him, there was still the ghost of a man who once loved Jasmine with everything he had. In the days that followed, Kirk took a social media break. He focused on therapy, on music, on rebuilding relationships damaged by the storm Jasmine brought. Rashida remained his rock. His daughter started smiling again. The public slowly began to root for him, not as a victim, but as a survivor. A man who had every reason to stay silent, but chose instead to stand up. And Jasmine, she went quiet. Rumors swirled she moved out of the city. She was rebranding again. But this time, no one cared. The world had seen behind the curtain. The performance was over. The audience had left the theater. In one final twist, a private message from Jasmine leaked sent to a close friend. "I didn't think he'd fight back. But he did. And he won." Kirk didn't win just a legal battle. He won himself back. The game was over. And Jasmine, she played dirty. But he walked away clean. So there you have it, the rise, the manipulation, the unraveling, and the ultimate reckoning. Jasmine, once seen as the victim of a toxic relationship, has now been fully exposed for the mastermind she truly was. From carefully crafted social media plays to a full-blown legal war, she orchestrated a storyline that fooled millions. But in the end, her own game turned on her. The lies collapsed. The truth screamed louder. And Kirk, the man once painted as the villain, walked away not only vindicated but victorious. This wasn't just a breakup. It was a battlefield. A war of reputations, a psychological chess match that left no one untouched. Families were divided, fans were misled, and hearts were broken. But what remains now is a story, a warning. Really about what happens when someone turns love into a performance and uses pain as a profit model. Kirk stood up not just for himself, but for every person who's ever been manipulated behind closed doors and silenced in public. And Jasmine? Well, she may try to rebrand, she may try to rewrite, but the receipts are out, and this time, there's no erasing them. But what do you think? Was Jasmine always this calculated, or did fame and power change her? Can Kirk truly move on, or will the scars of this drama haunt him forever? And if Jasmine comes back with a new apology tour, will you believe her? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, we're reading everything. Don't forget to like this video if you were shocked by Jasmine's downfall, and subscribe so you never miss another explosive update. Because in the world of fame and secrets, the truth always comes out. Stay tuned, stay curious, and remember, loyalty might be silent, but betrayal, that always makes a sound.